Hi. How is everyone's day today? I keep going between being really cold and then really warm. I don't know if you guys are feeling like it's been a weird temperature. Apparently tomorrow is going to be like super, super hot. So that's something to look forward to. I thought I'd click go live just like a minute early to have a bit of a chat. Yeah, and just ask how you guys are. So if you have the chat option and you want to let me know anything at all, a good question maybe to start the class with is, can you hear me? And I think that's a yes. Is when you fall out of your practice, because, from time to time we all do, definitely, even as who teach classes, it can go through seasons of it feeling pretty draggy and pretty difficult to want to practice. And that is definitely the reality of it, and for everyone. So I guess, a good question that maybe you can ponder, and if you are there and you want to type in the chat box, is when you kind of lose your mojo for practice, what happens to you? So for example, I tend to get pretty lethargic. And when I lose my mojo, I find it difficult to be motivated to practice. So my practice, is really rooted in Ashtanga. And so that's quite active and long. So when I lose my mojo, I think it's more like a demotivation that I feel, and a lethargy that comes with that being the most difficult thing of getting back on the mat sometimes. So I'd be interested to know what yours are. I'll be keeping an eye on the screen. If you want to let me know, you can, or if not, just make a mental note what it is for you, whether for you it means that you just lose all interest, or you just find it difficult to focus. I think a lot of people have that. Difficult to motivate yourself is quite a big thing, and especially during lockdown. I think, in the beginning, everything was a bit newer, and I'm sure all of you have experienced this, but it was a little bit easier to keep on top of things. And as lockdown has continued for this duration, I think, especially in the last month or last couple of months or so, I don't know if you felt, but it's I think the general vibe that we've been hearing from everyone who's been chatting to us or feedbacking to us is that it's quite difficult to be motivated, and especially when we're really used to taking our environment out of the house to find our headspace. Sometimes practicing in the same space which we have at home, we've been working, relaxing, exercising, and everything in the same house, teaching your kids, it can be quite difficult to have to navigate that, actually. And this is definitely quite an interesting time that's not really that normal. I'm sure we can all agree on that. So today, I think we can go through many avenues, but I'm going to share perhaps a type of practice, so it's not necessarily this exact one all the time. But firstly, it's good to really jot down how you personally feel and what is it that happens to you when you kind of lose your way, lose your mojo with your practice. And again, that's just good to know, because sometimes what it takes is to do the opposite, right? So sometimes, for example, when personally I get demotivated, I actually know the best thing to do is to maybe be kind to myself. And so be kind to yourself, modify your practice to just suit your mood. But also sometimes it's useful to add in the little time that maybe you've shortened to make room for other things. And that might be, we've chatted about this in a few of the other guide to classes, whether that be changing up completely to chanting, or maybe just meditation or journaling, or maybe a little bit of everything in your practice to change it up so it's nice and fresh in your mind as well, and for your body, so it doesn't feel like you're just doing repetitions and of stuff and allowing your head to get bored with what you're doing. Also, I find if you kind of need more energy, it's also nice to, I don't know, bring in creative movements or bring in a way, quite strength building, stuff that will push your limit a little, but then balance that out with something really calming at the end. So I find actually half an hour practices pretty nice when you lose your mojo and you're like, sometimes the concept of a 60 minutes or more class can be quite daunting on your brain. And I think that's when you your focus then wanes even more, because you're like, I literally can't fathom trying to hold my focus or have my attention really there for one whole hour, right? When you're already feeling a bit blur. And so a good thing to remember, and I always tell everyone, is sometimes like really just try to do 5 minutes. And actually more than often 5 becomes 20. And then once you've relaxed, towards the end, you've actually found that you've done a whole 30-minute practice. And so like a good recommendation is, if you feel you've lost your mojo, don't put pressure on yourself to do a 60-minute class, or your regular 90 or whatever length you normally do, but just shorten it. And actually half an hour becomes a lot more manageable. Or you can even aim even less. So because of my rambling, we're going to be doing about a 20-minute practice today, which sometimes is really quite the perfect amount, especially when you're, when you've lost your mojo a little. And if you're not sure what to do by yourself, you can still sign up to classes, but maybe just take the first 20-minute chunk of it and then decide, actually, I'm just going to do a few closing postures by myself and then call that my practice. And that is also completely fine. So a big thing is to delete the guilt, delete any notion that you like have to be there and have to do this crazy practice or have to do 1 hour, but rather just like take it easy on yourself. Notice how you're feeling and just do what's best for you. And that's different for everybody. So also remember that. Okay, so we're going to start on our mats, which we are already on, and come into seated and taking lotus or half lotus. We're going to take some time here to use your hands to just press the thighs down. So this is kind of the thigh area close to the knee. It just feels really nice on the hips here. And if anybody finds it difficult to sit upright and you feel like you're slouching in your lower back, simply grab a block or your bolster and raise your seat. So just sit higher up. And as you sit higher up, it kind of allows your legs to drape open, which is what we're trying to achieve, so that your hips kind of aren't flexing and contracting in. They're just nice, loose, and open. And slowly drawing yourself tall, drawing the chin in slightly as well to feel the back of the neck long. Let's take the hands behind you, interlace the fingers, and just give yourself a big stretch through the heart. Feel free to move left to right. Just enjoying this little length through the chest, length through the arms and the shoulders. And then taking the hands back on the knees. Again, draw yourself up nice and tall. Bring the hand on the chest and one on the belly. Just take a few deep breaths here. Okay, and again, like I said, for some of you, your focus might be waning and you're finding it difficult to concentrate. So let's just pick a mantra. We've asked everyone to submit quite a few on our Instagram, and there's some absolutely lovely, super encouraging ones there. So pick one for yourself, something positive. It could be a word, and I know this is really cheesy, but let's go with it. Picking a word, picking a sentence, picking a saying that really uplifts you. I personally really enjoy everything is okay. And you're going to pick something that works best for you and just repeat it to yourself a few times. And every time you exhale, really let that sink in. Just releasing the hands to the side. Let's shake out the wrists one way. Shake them the other way. Interlace the fingers and pushing the palms towards me. And then reaching the hands up to the ceiling. Let the shoulders slide upwards to your ears. And then we're going to keep reaching through the palms. See if you can really stretch the fingers nice and high. And let's release the hands. Taking the right ear to the right shoulder and place your right hand just gently over the head, taking that left hand to stretch out to your left and just give it a few rounds. So I would say be careful as you go on the upper part of that circle that your hand is drawing. So going nice and slow as you move up, that tends to be maybe an area of the neck and the shoulders that can be a little bit tender. So we're going to move slowly one way and then the other. And bring the head up, left ear to the left shoulder. Again, just gentle left hand on the head. Taking that right arm and just drawing circles. And again, just notice where it's most sensitive for you. And you're going to just slow down. And if you need to, really repeat that mantra, that affirmation we said earlier to ourselves as we're moving through this part of the practice. And release the hand, sitting nice and tall again. Nice. Let's come to all fours. And taking that right leg out behind you. And let's try and push the heel down into the floor. So you're coming onto your toes, stretching out the back of the leg. Now let's pivot on the left knee. So turn the feet out. Plop the right foot down. Take the left hand a bit under the shoulder and lift on up. Reaching your right hand up into the ceiling and really try and push the hips up into the air. And taking the arm diagonal this time, or maybe just pointing it towards the floor, really stretching out the right side of the body. So it's quite nice to do lots of chest opening, heart opening, especially when you feel, a little bit closed off, a little bit down, a little bit insular. It's really nice to counter it with opening of the body, of the chest, of the heart center. Nice, bring the hands down, feet back down, and then taking that left foot behind you, push into the heel, stretching out the back of the foot and the whole leg. Pivot on the right knee, left foot down, and reach on up. And again, really reach up through that left hip, push evenly into your palms. And then taking that hand first, diagonal, really stretching out the side of the body, and then point it towards the floor, kind of bowing the side of the body now. And enjoy how this feels. There's a nice, lovely stretch through the side. And bring the hands back down. Nice stuff. So tuck the toes in, okay? And then we're going to come back. So walk your hands towards the back of the mat and coming onto our toes and maybe staying here for a second. Maybe bringing the toes a little bit closer so the sides of the toes are touching. And you're going to try and balance here on the toes. Take the hands off the floor. The chest is resting on the thighs. And you're just going to give yourself a little squeeze, staying balanced in this. Okay, fingertips on the floor. Let's come higher up into your tiptoes. So your heels are now, so your knees are lifted. Your heels are also lifted more into the bum. You're going to take one hand on the knee, one hand on the knee. Gently now push the hands on the knees as the knees lower slightly, the chest lifts. And again, just finding your balance here. Chest openers, balances, these are all things that will also help balance your energy, open up your space within your mind, within your body. Balance, taking the hands up into the air, reaching up, really reach through the fingers, staying balanced here, holding it, bringing palms in prayer, squeeze it down. Bring the hands back to the floor. Walk the hands forward. Lift the hips up into your downward facing dog. Wiggle the heels out.
And let's keep this a nice fluid motion, taking that right leg up and then bend at the knee to open the hip. Take that right leg all the way forward to the front. Push into that back heel. And then come up and peel that right arm up into the ceiling. Try not to collapse on the bottom shoulder. And then bring the hand down. Stick the foot back up in the air behind you. Nice. Now take the foot to the outside edge of that right hand. Okay, and that back heel, push into the back heel, and now drop down onto the forearms. Nice hip opener as well. Still a lot of tension in our hips, so it's a nice one to really add into a short sequence. Come back to your palms, and now all the way, legs straight away, all the way behind you. Nice. And now taking the knee all the way forward, bring it to that right elbow or higher up the arm. And take it all the way back behind you. And one more time, right elbow to the top of the arm, squeeze it up. And now let's see if we can just place the foot on the floor, slide your hips down, stay nice and high if you need to use your hands for support, or wriggle your hips back behind you. See if your left hip can wriggle a little bit further back. And so we're going to stay high with the pigeon again, going for a heart opener version of our pigeon pose. So coming up to your claws, your fingertips, and you're going to let the left hip sink down. Okay, and as you pull the bottom ribs forward. So think, instead of just cranking up into the chest, see if you can coax, kind of like a little wave, like a caterpillar, to bring the low ribs forward and the chest nice and high. Relax through the hips. Palms down, tuck the back toes, and let's lift the hips and send that right leg up into the air again. Nice. Bend, open the leg, and let's pop the leg down. Same thing with the other side. Left leg goes up in the air. Left leg comes forward. Nice. Push into the back heel. Peel that left arm up. Place the hand down, and the leg goes all the way back up in the air. Leg comes forward, goes to the outside. Push into the heel, and let's drop to our forearms. Sinking and sliding the right hip forward. Place the palms down. The heels go up, back into the air. Stretch it out. Bring that left knee to the arm or the elbow and take it all the way back again. Knee to the left arm and elbow, and then foot down. Slide those right toes back into your pigeon. Come up to your fingertips and then kind of cuckoo and coax the lower ribs to come forward. Expanding through the chest and enjoying any sensation that you're feeling as you kind of sink in this nice hip opener, which releases a lot of tension, and this open-heartedness that we're inviting in with this chest puffing forward. Palms down. Let's send the leg back up into the air, and let's put it back down. So let's flow to that on the right side and to the left side, kind of together and kind of moving in your own nice pace. Okay, so right leg up and right leg forward. Push the heel. Peel the right arm up. Right hand down, leg to the back, leg forward on the outside edge. Push into the heel, and let's lower down. Taking a few breaths here. Palms down, send the leg back, and let's go knee to the arm, send the leg back, and knee to the arm, and slowly land your way in pigeon. Take your time, soften through the hips, coo the rib cage forward. Few breaths here. Palms down, lift the leg back up and put it down. Left side, reach the leg up. Bring it to the front. Push the heel back. Peel the arm up. Bring the hand down, leg shoots to the back. Take it forward on the outside edge, lower down. A few breaths here. Letting the hips release towards the floor. Palms down and leg goes high behind you. Bring the knee to the arm. Take the leg back. Knee to the arm and plonk the foot down. Slide that back foot back. Come up to your fingertips. Hips nice and heavy. And roll the ribcage forward. Keep coaxing your hips to relax towards the floor. And palms down, tuck the toes, lift the leg up, and coming all the way back down into your downward dog. Nice. Wiggle the heels out. Nice. Now let's come forward into our plank and lower down onto our forearms. We're just going to hold it here for a second, paying attention initially to really smearing the fingers open. Nice little distraction method from our plank. Fingers open. And you're going to push so that the spine kind of juts through the shoulder blades and then push into the heel. Don't lift the bum too high. Keep it nice and level. And just hold here for a few breaths. Keeping the hands where they are. Lift the hips and walk the feet slightly forward, even if the legs are bent. Staying here. Again, keep trying to lift the hips. Keep trying to lift out of the shoulders. And step the feet back one more time, sinking into your forearm plank. Push the spine through the shoulder blades. Push into the heels. Send the hips forward slightly. Keep those fingers nice and wide. Nice, and lift the hips. Walk the feet forward and come into like a downward facing dog. Dolphin dog, I mean. Nice, everyone coming onto their knees, getting the toes to touch and the hips, the knees to go wide. And you can even just rest the hands on folded arms or bring the forehead towards the floor. Nice, and bring the palms down. And let's roll onto our bums, legs out in front of you. Give your legs a wibble. Reach on up through the hands and taking a forward fold. And again, reach on up through the hands and slowly taking a forward fold. One more time. Reach on all the way up and leaning forward and fold. Let the head hang. Feel free to wriggle out the knees. Nice. Draw yourself up, bringing the palms behind you. Let's come into like an upward table. So feet on the floor, and we're just going to lift up. Let the head roll back, and then come back down. And again, lift on up. Just one more time. And come back down. You can even slide the feet long. Lift on up. And come back down. Soles of the feet together. Last little hip opener before we close. Sitting up nice and tall. Taking a forward fold. Okay, now come on up. Let's shuffle forward on your mat a little. Let's take the toes in our fingers. Lift on up and balance a little. And then we're just going to roll all the way on our backs and land in happy baby. And then letting the knees just rock one by one to the floor. Nice. Let the legs go wide a little. And then bring them up to the ceiling. Give the toes a nice point. Give the ankles a roll round. One way. And then the other. Nice.
And now either choosing your final resting position, you can put the bolster under your back if you've got a bolster. You can lay the feet in Baddha Konasana and let the hips open out. Or maybe just lying in a classic Shavasana position, whatever works best for you. We're going to bring one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly. And take a nice deep breath in and really sigh the breath out. Whether that be through your nose or through your mouth. Really allowing your exhales to feel like a little bit of a release. And releasing really, maybe, the concept of like stagnant energy, or any frustration, or maybe any guilt associated with you kind of losing your way a little with your practice or your mojo, or it could be something else that's happened in the day. Just lovely exhales to let everything go. And as you rest your hand on your chest, just enjoying the rise and fall of breathing into the hands. And calling to your mind that affirmation you made in the beginning of the class, that positive mantra, something that makes you feel uplifted and encouraged. And just say it to yourself a few times in your head, but really take it in. Every inhale, really feel like you're really breathing it into your whole being. Again, very cheesy, but give it a go. And now laying your hands to the side of your body, palms to face up, and just taking these last few moments here. And allowing yourself to really let go. Some more. Just very gently lulling your head from side to side. And as you're lying down, taking a nice full body stretch. So it might be quite nice to kind of banana yourself one way. And then taking it to the other side. And slowly making your way up back to seated. And let's bring palms together and end with a nice Om at the same time. Taking an inhale. Namaste. Thank you so much. So I hope you found that helpful. I think the main thing is to maybe change it up, get a little creative, bring in other elements to your practice, and don't feel guilty that it's happening, that you've lost your mojo a little. Again, that's really, really normal. So go easy on yourself and bring it back to keeping it light and having fun and finding space and time for yourself as you practice. Thank you. Bye. I'm going to hand over to Olu now, who's meditating with us outside the studio. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely day. See you soon. Bye.